we're going to be talking about all of the swirling reports in the wrestling world. Are there AEW stars that perhaps want to come home? Have WWE been reaching out to AEW stars under contract? The short answer is it seems like yes, but we're going to dive into this, see who wants to come home, who doesn't, the state of play, basically, because it wasn't that long ago. It was about a year ago, I would say. The Metropolis was completely one way, right? It was WWE stars exiting for greener pastures, as it were. AEW looked like the place to be, frankly. Good money, work 1 or 2 days a week. They had all of the hot hand. The show was on fire. And at the time, we asked ourselves, SP3, are they signing too many stars? But as we asked that question, it is worth remembering that, and I am very much on this team. I was like, you can't have too much good talent, right? I still believe that now, for the most part. And I remember Eddie Kingston in an interview with me said, well, you know what? You sign good talent and that will squeeze up the quality of your show. And those that don't want to go with it will fall by the wayside. Now, there are some names that we perhaps didn't think would be falling by the wayside that potentially are. But let's be honest, SP3, the main domino to fall here is Vince McMahon. It's the fact that Triple H is back in power in WWE, that suddenly these people who were treated so well by Triple H in NXT are thinking to themselves, that main roster run that I didn't trust in Vince McMahon's hands, I think I might want to give it a go under Triple H. Would you? I mean, you have to say, unless you have a contrary opinion, that seems to be the main factor in play here. And that's maybe the number one consideration of all of these reports we're about to get into of will they and won't they?
Oh, most definitely. Vince McMahon leaving the WWE has become a huge factor when it comes to where people want to be or where they think their future is going to be best suited. Vince McMahon leaving and Triple H being in charge has kind of changed the landscape, especially for people that just left WWE or just was released from WWE a year ago. It seems to be a big difference maker, but there's other aspects at play with each person that we're probably going to discuss throughout this show. And I don't think that the issue with AEW is having that many great talent on their show. They do have an issue of having a bloated roster, but the reason they have a bloated roster is because they don't have as much time to contribute to those guys. If they had 5 to 6 to 7 hours of television like WWE has, I don't think we would be saying that they have a bloated roster. And I don't think a lot of the guys that are feeling a little disgruntled or frustrated with the amount of time or the amount of matches that they've been given in AEW would have that same issue if they had more TV time. But having 3 hours of TV time and 130 at least contracted talent, that's just too much.
Yeah, it's all relative, exactly like you just said. If you've got a 3-hour show, right, then you need a roster that can fit those demands. And you don't want to just put the same stuff out each week. So you basically need more people than the show warrants on any given night. It is a difficult position to be in. And there are only a few people who are guarantees, right? When you're writing out the show, it's like, okay, well, you need to get Kenny or the Bucks. I know it's a bad example right now because they're suspended. Although apparently it was a 2-week suspension, so I don't know. Maybe they're back this week. Who knows? But Danielson, Moxley, there are people that, when you're mapping the show out, they are on it, right? And then you've got the other people that are fighting for TV time. We don't always see Ricky Starks, but we should, right? We want to. The same thing as when AEW were, linked to or did sign a Buddy Matthews. If he's on the market, do you not sign Buddy Matthews? I think you do, right? And the same as Aleister Black, same as Miro, a host of Andrade as well. Like, there are a host of them that I think, man, if they're there, how do you not go and get them? Keith Lee as well, Swerve. Like, there is a lot, right? And some of them have been having, good runs. And you could say prior to his injury, Miro was, right? You could say that Swerve and Our Glories just had a great run, I think, personally.
Agreed.
And then you've got Andrade, right? Who, for all of his upside and talent, it's a horrible storyline to put in the beginning with Matt Hardy. Just horrible. Like Matt Hardy's faction was terrible anyway. I love Matt Hardy, but come on, that faction wasn't good. Andrade gets partnered with that, you know, and you just start going, give the guy a chance, you know.
You
And
didn't
then
even talk about the first thing when they couldn't decide which Guerrero they wanted to put
yeah,
in his corner with between Vicky and Chavo. Then it was the him and Pac feud where the match kept getting postponed due to his schedule and Pac's
yeah, yeah.
schedule. Then they had killer matches with each other and then kind of never went anywhere. They went 1-1 in their singles matches against each other, and then they never even had the blow off match.
A-Shock makes the point here. Ricky's been on every week at least for now. I mean, that's actually a weird sentence, but I know what you're trying to say. He has been on it recently since the split.
Since the whole
Look,
story they set up for the split.
When he was FTR, not FTR, FTR.
Well, no, I would say since the whole Swerve in Our Glory feud started, because either he's been on Dynamite or Rampage every week since Swerve came in March.
Yeah, pretty much. And I know he had injury problems before that, but there were still weeks where all you might get, you might just see like a vignette with him and Hobbs. And again, this goes to Swerve as well. Like I'm saying, if you're him, you want more than that. I mean, I'm not speaking for him. I'm just saying that's a very small role for somebody with big time talent, and there's loads of people like that across the board in AEW. So it is very hard to fit all those people on TV. But I've always been an admirer of the roster that Tony Khan put together. I felt like that was a roster in the eyes of like what I want to see as a fan. Has a great mix. It just obviously has become hard to placate all of them because you got to remember when they sign like a Malachi Black, for instance, right? Or well, I think Miro was the first one, okay, and then they had him with the gamer gimmick with Kip Sabian, but that was kind of like because they had already had the rest of the card mapped out, so you can't just crowbar him in, and they kind of had to keep him busy until the Redeemer became a thing. But okay, so you sign him, that's a big deal, and then you get, I think Andrade was next, and then you're like, okay, that's a big deal. And then you get Malachi Black, and it's like, that's a big deal. But it's like, there's only so many spots at the top of the card, right? Yeah. And they're signing Adam Cole and Bryan Danielson almost, basically a year ago. And it's like, I mean, they jettison above most people in star power. So immediately, these people that when you brought them in was a huge deal, all of a sudden they're kind of finding themselves in different parts of the card, right? And it's not quite what they thought it was when they signed. And then that becomes a difficult job for Tony Khan. I do understand it. Now, one of them that came out, and I don't know if this is PW Insider or Meltzer. I would have to check, but I'm hoping you'll know. They were saying the people that were more willing to come back to WWE are those with partners, right? So Miro wasn't actually listed. They said he's happy. He doesn't need to come home. I don't think he was ever really a Triple H guy. He had a bit of a time in WWE, but I wouldn't say, in NXT, but I wouldn't say he was a Triple H guy. But people with partners, let's go down the list. Malachi Black, of course, is with Zelina Vega. I don't actually know if this is true or not. Feel free to enlighten me, but somebody, Rhea Ripley and Buddy Matthews?
Yes, they go out with each other.
Okay, so I've seen them working out together and stuff, and I asked Rhea about it in Cardiff, but I didn't, I was just like talking about the workouts rather than, are you together? So okay, cool. That's another one. So that basically that's our two main ones, right?
Yeah. Well, basically it was Dave Meltzer on the Wrestling Observer.
And hold up, Andrade and Charlotte. How could we
Yes,
forget?
yes, 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 yes. Andrade is more of a one that's kind of an outlier. I think that people are connecting more of the Buddy Matthews and Malachi Black because of their connection in the House of Black, and as well
Yeah,
as Buddy Matthews basically alluding that he was kind of echoing what Malachi Black was saying because he appeared on, believe the name of the promotion was Fight Pro Wrestling in
yeah,
Rhode Island over the weekend, where he basically said that he needed time away to recalibrate, and that similar to his brother Malachi, he needed that time away to kind of regroup, but it's not going to be goodbye. It's going to be a see you soon. And then that's when reports started coming out from Fightful Select that Buddy Matthews could be gone from AEW for a while. And then, according to Dave Meltzer of Wrestling Observer Radio, he said both Matthews and Black want to go to WWE and wanted to leave AEW. He confirmed that Matthews is indeed gone from the company, and both Black and Matthews have significant others in WWE, which has led to the rumor that people with significant others in AEW would like to leave to go back to WWE now, because Black is with Vega, Matthews is with Rhea Ripley, and Andrade is married to Charlotte Flair. The Andrade part of this has to do with a lot of the stuff that's been on social media over the last couple of months. He's liked some tweets about, his booking not being,
mm,
the best in AEW. And he also today put up a tweet of just like an hourglass ticking away. So is that alluding to time left on his contract before he goes back to WWE? I don't know what it's alluding to, but it's very interesting timing on that. And I would say out of all these guys, Buddy Matthews, Malachi Black, Andrade, I would say Andrade was the one that I can 100% say AEW did not do right by him. They didn't
yeah,
seem like they knew what they were doing. They didn't seem like they had a plan. At least with Malachi Black, he had the big memorable debut,
had a hot start.
kicking Cody in the face, the good feud with Cody. Then he forms the House of Black at the beginning of the year, brings in Brody King, brings in Buddy Matthews. The Death Triangle feud, that was kind of just them running on a treadmill for like 6 months. But then he was able to, the stuff with Sting and Darby, I thought was really good, really great stuff
Mm,
that they did up until, All Out, and even the stuff that they did at AEW Rampage Grand Slam, that was good. They could have done more with Buddy Matthews as a single star, but
definitely.
he just signed with the company in February. Yeah, I because of the Miro template that they created, it takes them a while to kind of to put someone into the flow and really find a role for them. So they could have done more with Buddy Matthews, but 100% Andrade's been there for 18 months. They should have
Yeah,
done more with him.
yeah, and that's the thing, right? You look at the Buddy Matthews and Malachi Black. It's not. I've enjoyed what they've done. It's just that I guess, they expected more. And when the House of Black became something, I think a lot of us expected to learn more about the House of Black. But do any of us really know what the House of Black does? Not really. It's cool, but it's pretty vague. I really enjoyed the Brody King stuff with Darby Allin. Like, there's been lots of good stuff. It's not that. It's just I can understand the feeling of like it hasn't really gone anywhere.
Yeah, another rumor that I heard was that Black and Matthews wanted like the House of Black to do like a lot of like the promos we were seeing like in the dark room and
Yeah,
stuff
yeah,
like
yeah.
that. Whereas Tony wanted to keep it more of them being like this silent, mysterious threat among the roster. So either way could work. I know there was some people that I've seen online that were like, they're not the best talkers, so they prefer the Tony way. And I've seen the people that say that they love the promos that they were given, the little vignettes that they did, and I'm one of those people. I love that stuff, especially like
I,
how it's shot with them with the darkness and then coming into the light and stuff
I
like
don't.
that. So
I
I
don't
like
think
that.
Black. I don't think Black's a bad talker by any stretch. I guess it's opinions.